We're starting this hour off with Amanda in Virginia. Hi, Amanda. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Christy. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Hi.
What's up?
My question today is in regards to the appropriate hats in a family business and how to figure out who wears what. Just a quick background. My husband and I have just started a very small online business. It's our business, but I am predominantly working on it and investing the time in it. And my husband is focusing on medical school. However, we both bring in value to the business itself, but we're struggling to figure out how to wear what hat and who wears it as a husband and wife. So I'm asking for your advice.
Okay.
So have you guys already been working on the business?
So very briefly, I would say about 2.5 months.
Okay. How's that been going? Like as far as roles and what have you been doing up to this point?
So up to this point, we have had lots of arguments, and then we stepped away and said, okay, this, we need to purchase as not as a husband and wife, but as team members. But from there, we don't know how to do it. We're trying to figure out who has the leadership role. There's kind of this tug of war of who has the final say. So, and then we do strive to unify with each other, but we don't have it quite figured out.
Okay, well, this is interesting. I actually really like this because it's an interesting dynamic to talk about it from a husband-wife perspective, but also, like you said, from a business perspective. So just in a real practical sense, a really easy starting point in terms of your roles, I would say to sit down with your husband and y'all kind of identify, okay, here are the strengths that I have, you, Amanda, here are the strengths that he has, and go ahead and figure out what those are. What are your sweet spot, the things that give you energy, that come effortless to you, that are fun for you? Man, I'm excited to do that, to check that off. That's going to kind of fall in my lane because you're going to have the most fun in your business when you're staying in your strengths. The quality is going to be the highest of the business when each person's staying in their strengths. Now, even after you do that, there's going to be a whole lot of things that you still have to do that may not fall in your strengths or isn't really fun for you, isn't fun for him. And those are the types of things you just have a conversation and divide up based on what the week is, what the month is, what, his schedule is with medical school, that type of thing. But as far as the final call, this is an interesting dynamic. So I'll tell you, my husband and I, one of the kind of practices we have in our marriage, because we'll disagree on purchases or parenting decisions, in marriage you disagree on things. What we do is we lean into the conflict. We lean into the discomfort. We never say, well, I'm going to go buy that. You don't disagree. I'm the final call. Or I got this paycheck this week, so we don't move forward on a decision that affects both of us until we're on the same page. And that may take some work to wrestle through. It may take some work to say, hey, let's get to the root. What's your fear here? What's your concern here? Is it the time? Is it the money? Is it the what's going on with our children? That works for us. But I think that if you and your husband sit down and figure, okay, here's our decision-making process. Here's your fears. Here's the thing we keep running up against. That will give you a framework to work within without it being a hierarchy that feels awkward.
Amanda, I'm
because you're married.
I'm hearing you say you're doing all the work, and he still wants to be the boss.
Is that what's going on? Tell us the truth, Amanda.
So I think
you're doing all the work, and he wants to be the boss because he's the husband.
It's not because he's the husband. I think this is something that he has had a desire to do.
But he doesn't do it. He's in med school.
Yeah, he does.
You're doing all the work, aren't you?
Yes.
He lost his vote. Okay? You're the CEO of this organization. He's the husband of the CEO. He has a husband's input, like my wife does, has a wife's input. She's the wife of the CEO. Her little butt is not down here working 16 hours a day like I am. And so she does not get to come down here and interfere when we order copier paper.
But that's how y'all set it up. Like, Amanda, is that how you want it? I mean, is that how you're setting it up? Is that the expectation?
So it is set up that way, but at the same time, Dave, that's exactly what's going on, is that I'm putting most time in. And again, he definitely has a role in this. I definitely need
well,
what is that role?
Listen,
what is
he's got a big intellect and a big ego. He's going to med school. So he's really smart. He's a really smart guy. He's probably got some wonderful additions that he could throw in as a consultant. But he don't get to be in charge here.
What's his role right now? You said he's got a role. What's his role? What is he doing right now besides telling you?
Go
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is something he's definitely, like, this is part of his decision. He wanted to do this a couple years ago and asked me to be a part of it, and I said yes. So as far as this role is, I need him to figure out all the numbers aspect of things and do worksheets and things like that. And whereas I'm going out and I'm actually bringing in those products and I'm putting the sweat into it, I guess you could say.
Okay, if I was gonna buy your business from you, who would I hire to do what you're doing? What would we call them? What are you? The CEO.
Okay.
The president. What would I hire him to do? He's the CFO, managing the numbers and giving input on the business decisions from the CFO seat. Am I missing something? The chief financial officer. The day-to-day operations of the business, the marketing ideas, the product conceptions, he's speaking into them. You are taking that advice and your own ideas and spinning up all the work. Am I missing something?
No, but the only thing is, like, this is still our business, and we could still have that separation, I guess you can say, and still it can be considered our business.
Oh, I didn't say that.
That's fine. It
okay,
can
listen,
be y'all's
here,
business.
take this out. If you got a pencil handy, draw 3 circles that overlap like Olympic rings, okay? A Venn diagram.
Uh-huh.
Okay? One of them says owner, one of them says family, and the other one says business member or employee, okay? You are all 3 of those, okay? He is all 3 of those. But when he is standing back and as an owner speaking into this, he's interfering in the day-to-day operations. If the owner tries to run the business from the owner's chair instead of from the CEO's chair, that's where you're getting your conflict. That's where the hats are coming off. And he needs to adopt a board of directors type position as an owner. And so my wife is an owner of this business. She speaks into this business, when she wants to. But again, she doesn't come down and interfere in the day-to-day operations. Big decisions, like Christy said, she's in on big decisions. We don't buy a piece of, $14 million piece of ground like we did a while back without her speaking into it. Do you think this is a good idea? As an owner. But then the actual execution of the development of that property and putting a building on it, she didn't even know how we did it because she's not involved, and she shouldn't be in the day-to-day tactical. And she's not down here interfering while people are trying to get their work done, which is what's happening here.
So Dave, you pointed out what you heard, that she's doing all the work and he's, wanting to make decisions. What I'm hearing is what we're talking about right here, what Dave's saying, is the conversation you need to have, Amanda, because I'd be willing to bet he doesn't know that. If this is the setup, if this is what's going on,
he thinks it's his idea,
right.
and he's the guy with the numbers, and he's the smart guy, and so she's supposed to take orders from him.
We got to reset expectations. We got to reset expectations in line with what we're unpacking here, what Dave's unpacking. But you got to sit down with him and talk about that.
Absolutely, exactly. So I think I think you're right. So the fact is you have identified that you have a problem, and the way we function around here is we say, are you functioning as an owner? Are you functioning as the CEO in this conversation, or are you functioning as a family member in this organization? Okay, Rachel Cruz is one of the owners of this business. She also functions as a Ramsey personality, and she also functions as a family member of the Ramseys. And you have to decide when we're having a conversation which one of those are. Are we having a husband and wife conversation, or are we having a CEO to Ramsey personality conversation? Are we having a father-daughter conversation, a Papa Dave to the daughter or to the mother of my grandbabies, or am I talking to one of my Ramsey personalities as the CEO? And that changes the tone, the process, the decision-making flow when you get your hats straightened out. And that's what that Venn diagram will help you do. Good call. Good question. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.